episode of Peephole Pictures, we're looking at Sex in the Comics from 1972.
Miss, my wife has told me that you're 4 weeks behind in the room rent and that she wants either the cash or the room.
Oh, Mr. Hoople.
Why, yes, Mrs. Hoople has gone for the day, but that makes no difference. I am Lord and Master in the house of Hoople.
Oh, Major, I've a confession to make to you. Oh, Major, please don't think I'm a little fool, but you'll never know how much I've longed to have you take me in your arms and love me to death. You're so dignified and masterful. Please, Major, kiss me.
Tut-tit, little girl. I know just how you feel.
Sex in the Comics is directed by notable, prolific filmmaker Anthony Spinelli. In this case, he's going by Eric Von Lech, and everyone else is going under pseudonyms in the film, and it's not very clever, some of the pseudonyms. I think it was, there was ones, it was like Harry Balls or something like that, and there was one name that was cracked, it's like Hell N. Keller. I mean, even the crew are getting pseudonyms as well, so right off the bat, you know, it's going to be that kind of film. And it's a comedy for sure. I mean, Sex in the Comics is based off of what are known as these Tijuana Bibles, which are popular in the 1940s. The name Tijuana Bible comes from people, I don't know if they associated it or they had just assumed they were being smuggled in from Tijuana, which to my knowledge wasn't true. I truthfully don't know a lot about these Tijuana Bibles. I did like a very surface level research, but there were these 8-page, really kind of brief, like I guess you could say like parodies or kind of riffs on more popular sort of comic characters. Very pornographic, very explicit, very un-PC. And what the film is doing is taking some of these Tijuana Bibles and doing live action shorts of them. You know, little like kind of comedy sketches mixed with sex. And in between we have the kind of the basis of the whole film, which is you have one of these characters who is interviewing, asking about the past, this cartoonist's past of like making these kind of not necessarily Tijuana Bibles, but these cartoons. Angela Carnon is doing the interview, and I believe she's interviewing James Sweeney, but don't quote me on that. Some of the names aren't exactly listed in order, so bear with me on that. But anyways, and also the cast is something I'm going to bring up later. There's a couple oddities there. But anyways, so we get these sequences, and right off the bat, from the very first sequence, you go, something's wrong. Something's not right here. And I thought of a comparison which I think fits it pretty well, which is that there's a new, at the time of this recording, there's a new horror film coming out called Hokum. And if you've seen the trailer or the teaser, I've only seen the teaser, I think the trailer might be out now, but there's kind of a brief shot of a wide-eyed, kind of bug-eyed creature, and it's unsettling, and you go, ooh, that looks unnerving. Now, I can't imagine you would associate that with anything erotic, but when I watched this film, I was reminded of this upcoming horror film because they decide to use this crazy mask on one of these characters, you know, the great big man from the South, starring Barney Guggle, and you kind of have to see it to believe it. It's almost like an image that you would use on like a 2000s sort of like jump scare, like maybe like website. It's like one of those, hey, get close to the screen, and then crazy loud noise, and it's you gotta wonder what were they thinking with this. It is so unsettling, and I can't stress that enough. When I first saw it, I couldn't believe what I was watching. I couldn't believe they were like, yeah, that looks totally fine, because the eyes are so wide-eyed. I mean, it's just it was a mask, but it almost looks like molded on to his face. It's hard to describe, but I can't imagine who is getting off to this, because that there is a sex scene multiples with him, and it's just frightening. And I gotta say, one of the positives I will say about the film is I think the set designs are actually pretty solid. And when I say the set designs, I mean the backgrounds are painted in a way to resemble like a comic. And the costume designs as well. They all fit together very well. You're not going to see a dude walking around in like jeans and a t-shirt. They all fit the scene, and I think as its own, you know, the work is up on screen. I've read some people, you know, I read a couple of reviews, people saying it looked kind of cheap, and I'm like, yeah, it does look kind of cheap, but I mean, this is low budget. I mean, the fact they even decided to do this, with the instead of just, hey, we'll just film it in a bedroom and that'll be our movie. The fact they actually went all out and decided to do this, I think, should be mentioned. But I mentioned before with Anthony Spinelli, he's a notable and prolific filmmaker from this era. Because he, started off in the early 70s and then worked really right through the end of his life. He passed away in 2000 and was doing films into the late 90s. I believe his last film was like 97 or something like that, at least credited. But Anthony Spinelli is primarily known for films like Sex World, which I think is a really terrific film. He did Talk Dirty to Me. I think he even did some of the sequels as well. He may have even done all of them. I actually don't know. High School Memories, which actually just got a new Blu-ray at the time of this recording. So he is known. He has a lot of credits to his name. So I don't think that he is a lazy filmmaker by any stretch of the imagination. Because even something like, excuse me, even something like Sex World, you see some of the set designs in that. I mean, in that they're doing a riff on, Westworld. So it's notable. It's notable and noticeable when these filmmakers are not just trying to just make something really cheap, really quick, and then get it out of there. Just because you can even see that in a way that a lot of the scenes are shot. But anyways, here mentioning before the cast as well. There are a couple notable names in this. Nina Fause is in this. Cyndee Summers, who I think was doing a lot of like Swedish stuff. I think doing a lot of like loops that I don't remember. Wasn't super familiar with some of her stuff, but I was just looking up some of these names and they are known. Rick Cassidy is in the film as well. You have George Buck Flower in a cameo in this. And boy, oh boy, I didn't see that coming. And also, something that I didn't even realize at first until I looked back at the film, Duke Mitchell is in the film. And I went, for whatever reason, it didn't click with me. So I went back and watched it. And yeah, he's in there. He's in there multiple times. Even early on, I believe it's him as the bartender. And you go, Duke Mitchell's in this. What? I mean, if it's not him, it looks identical to him. It's not listed on his IMDb credits, and I don't know if it's ever been confirmed that it's actually him or not. But, and if you're thinking, yes, it is the same Duke Mitchell of Massacre Mafia style and Gone with the Pope. It's, Bela Lugosi meets a Brooklyn gorilla. It is, once that got pointed out, it was almost distracting, going, oh my gosh, what is he doing here? The real highlights of the film are what I said before, the set designs, the costumes. Those are well done. The film isn't particularly funny, which it doesn't have to be. I find a lot of comedies from this era, from the Golden Age, I don't find all that funny. I mean, it's just so silly, and they're just backdrops for these sex scenes, and that's fine. But yeah, here it doesn't work for me. And like I said, most bizarrely are some of the choices that I made. I mean, this crazy mask that is being worn that looks almost like melted skin. You're watching this and all you're thinking to yourself is, who is the target audience for this? The guys are guys and girls are getting in here trying to watch something erotic. And then they see that. And even with the sex scenes as well, they do this thing a lot. The film does this thing where it almost like cuts. It's almost like still images. And I looked it up online, and somebody was saying that I don't know if it's actually confirmed or not, but they were saying along the lines of something like a comic where you have like different, it's a still image right there. But it doesn't really work that way. It's not very clear. It looks very awkward. And one thing to note as well is that I found an interview with future makeup artist Bird Holland, who he did films like Rabid, David Cronenberg. He did like some genre stuff. He did Executive Action from '73. He did The Baby from '73 as well. It's a pretty notable film. He has a fair amount of films under his belt. The Undertaker and His Pals, which is a ridiculous film from 1966. But he was originally going to do the makeup on this film. but he was not aware that it was an adult film, so he backed out for myriad reasons. The risk, not I suppose I assume not want to be involved with adult films, just have that as something that he worked on. But the fact of the matter is that he was at least around working when this was being made and almost worked on this. Because in that interview, he says as well, he's like, I don't know how we're getting the rights to, these famous characters, like Dick Tracy and all that. And at this point, it's like, hey, if you're gonna make a film like this that you can get in trouble for, you might as well just go all out. You might as well just use these characters, because they use Dick Tracy, they use Betty Boop, they use Popeye, and I don't know if they ever actually say their names, but I mean, it's directly them. Truthfully, I don't even remember if they mentioned the Tijuana Bibles in this. That's something I looked up after the fact. Because there are these segments they cut back and forth to with these history lessons, kind of leading up to where they're at in the film, and it, I guess, could have worked. It feels mostly just kind of uneven and unfocused. The sex itself, I mean, it's just strange. There's not like full scenes. They'll kind of like do a little bit of it, and then they'll go back to what we're doing before, and then they'll just cut back to the comedy. And then still, there's like those crazy masks. I mean, I don't know. It's like a different crazy mask at one point. There's like one character who's like a judge, and he has these wild eyes, and there's a whole scene, and it looks like a horror movie. I mean, I'm not even trying to make a joke or be funny. I mean, it really does look horrific. And you're watching it. You're watching these sex scenes with these actors in masks, and it's just like, you're like, what? Who is getting off on this? Because even he, this ridiculous sequence, he's going down on this girl, and he is in his chair kicking his feet, spinning around, but this giant like nose is like poking her, and it's just bizarre. That's all I can really say about it. It is bizarre. But talking about the backgrounds and the sets and all that, I mean, there are many different vignettes in this. There are many different sets, many different painted backgrounds. There's one that I think was like Little Orphan Annie or something, and that's just, she has a strap on in that scene, and you're just watching it, and I mean, I'm not even like watching the scene at that point. I'm just looking at the background going, that looks all very nice. But like that at least makes more sense. I mean, it's sort of like, okay, well, this is somebody, there's two girls, they got a strap on over. She's not wearing a crazy mask. I mean, it looks like Leatherface, man. There's one that, what is it? I'm trying to find it here because it was cracking me up. Peter B. Hard presents Moon Mullins in Help. And boy, oh boy, look it up online. Just look at that image from that, and it is absolutely horrific. And I don't mean to be repetitive. I don't mean to just keep repeating that, oh, it's horrific. But it really is. I can't stress that enough. A big problem with the film as well, I would say maybe the biggest problem with the film, besides the crazy masks, besides being incredibly unerotic in these sequences, is that it's just too long. And it's only an hour and 20 minutes, which is fine. I mean, that's a typical length for an adult film. But boy, oh boy, it feels a lot longer. Because the problem is that besides just watching the, seeing the different sets, seeing the different costumes, that's all great. But it's just so repetitive. I mean, it's just the same scenes over and over again. The humor just does not land really at all. There was never a point that it came off as funny or charming. It came off as very tedious. And as it goes along, I mean, there's more and more traditional sex in the film. And for the most part, I think that's actually shot pretty well. When it's actually just doing that against these backgrounds, against these sets, it's fine. It's fine for what it is. And I don't think this is like a terrible film or anything. As an anomaly, it's one thing. Because it is low budget, and it does look cheaper, but it's also hard not to admire, I guess, all the work that is clearly on screen. Because it doesn't feel thrown together or cheap. And, as I'm watching it, although I'm not terribly interested, I'm just really, like, kind of just watching these very unfunny, these very lame sequences, these comedy sequences. There are just a handful of moments throughout where I'm just like, man, that's just so strange and out there that it's almost worth recommending for a couple of these sequences. It's one that the DVD now is out of print, but I think if you picked up a copy, or if you watched it online or anything of the sort, you could skip to these moments to just kind of show someone and go like, look at this, man, because actually sitting there and watching it, it doesn't really work really on any level, because it's not erotic enough to sit there and and watch as an erotic film. It's not funny, so you're not sitting there like laughing or taking it all in. You're really just kind of taking in everything else, and you're taking in the sets and the costumes, which I would love to hear some talk about the set design in that regard, because to me that is far more interesting than anything else going on. The film really becomes tedious just after a while, and I'm not trying to like beat up on the film or anything like that, but it's just it spins its tires. You have these sequences, you have these really crazy sound effects. There's like earlier when I mentioned the oral sex, there's like this licking noise that is like, I mean, you can go on YouTube and just like look up like, licking noise, and that's what it is. And not in a way where they would like ADR it. So, that happens a lot where you'll watch an adult film and they'll ADR like, someone like moaning, even though, you have music playing, and you're not going to have, the prominent audio be someone, moaning, unless you're ADRing it. So it's like they put in these sound effects. It's intentional, but it doesn't. It's just so ridiculous, man. It's just like, it's just nonsense. And I should say, I think I said before, I don't remember if they actually mention them or not. They do mention it at some point. They bring up later. I actually wrote this down in my notes as well. They focus on that for a little bit, and then it's just back to the movie, and it really kind of trudges along, and it really kind of just comes to a thud of a conclusion. Solely as a curiosity piece is a recommendation in a way, because boy, I really did just start spacing out when I'm watching this film. Once you are past the anomaly of it all, and once you are past the things that really kind of stand out at the start, it stops being funny. It just kind of becomes what it is. If you were wanting to watch this solely as an erotic film, you could probably jump in maybe halfway through, because that's when it becomes, like I said, it becomes a bit more traditional. But for so much of it, you're just kind of sitting there in disbelief of just who thought that this would be something that people were going to get off to, unless you really are into these crazy Leatherface looking characters. If that's your thing, then God bless you, and this is the film for you. But this just totally didn't work for me, and I just, I'm a fan of Anthony Spinelli, but this is just not a highlight of his. Maybe it's a highlight in terms of the context of him as a filmmaker. As I'm saying it out loud, I think that's probably where it goes to. I think that's where it works in the context. As a film, not so much. It's not even funny to watch. It's just, it's very repetitive. It's very tedious. And that's Sex in the Comics. It's nonsense. Recommended solely for the reason why I said before, but that'll do it for this episode. Well, thank you guys for listening. Sex in the Comics 1972. The DVD is out of print, to my knowledge. It could get a re-release at some point. I wouldn't go out of your way for it. If you happen to find it cheap, then that's fine. I've never seen this. This was like on sale for like $5 at one point, so maybe it could get a re-release. Who knows? I'd be very interested to watch this with a commentary by somebody involved with the film, or any kind of interview to give more context on as to why. There's also, even at the end, I forgot to say, there's a whole had a big kind of statue that is a whole other thing. I'm not even gonna get into that. Whatever, forget about it. It's ridiculous. It's absolute nonsense. But so thank you guys for listening to another episode of Peephole Pictures. Take care.